Hey friends, don't mind my bottle in the background and stuff. And I'm also filming with like a different setup, so I'm a little bit freaked out. But anyway, welcome to the full story. I'm sure you've seen the title of the video or you've seen me talk about this on Instagram, but this is where you're gonna get the full story while I'm getting ready very quickly. Now, you have to bear with me because I am recovering from one of many illnesses I've had recently, so my throat is a little bit croaky, but we will survive. I feel very off-center. Anyway, we're just gonna start yapping because I ain't got time. So yes, I have quit my job at JD. I have handed my notice in. Now, I want to give you full backstory and full context as to why this is a big deal, what the job is, what it entails, how I feel about it. I want to answer some questions that I know that people will have. Just explain myself, really. So, for those of you who don't know, hi, my name's Irene. I basically do a lot of things, but everything stems from my love for creativity. I am a performer. I grew up as your typical triple threat, singing, dancing and acting. I would also choreograph, and then I went to uni and did dance and musical theatre, and then I went back to uni and did a PGCE so that I could teach my subject. And along the way, I just kind of developed a love for all things creative, really. And so now, in terms of work, what do? Basically anything that involves being creative. So that could be teaching Zumba, it could be presenting, it could be hosting, which I just see as a form of like performing, being on stage. And I sing, I dance, but 20 hours of my week at least have been dedicated to JD gyms. Now, I even started at JD gyms as a class instructor. I started there as a Zumba instructor, and then I moved to being a PT because I was like, oh, well, that's another form of movement and it makes me happy and I enjoy it, so I'll do that. And then I eventually became a manager there. Now, that was never the initial plan. It just kind of happened, and it was a bit, being a gym manager is more financial security than being a PT. Because when you're a PT, you tend to work for a gym, and then the money that you earn, you essentially pay back to the gym to pay your gym rent. And then in exchange, you can run your business. So anything that you earn from your PT clients is yours to keep, but there's no guaranteed income, basically. So doing the gym management role basically gave me more financial security and meant that with the rest of my work, I could just take on as much creative stuff as possible. But all that to say, PTing was never the original part of the original plan. PTing, gym managing. I can't talk, I'm really tired. I've been up since very early. So yeah, here we are now. In 2024, I auditioned / applied to become the voice of Bradford. So BBC Radio Leeds were running a Bradford New Voices campaign because Bradford was going to be the city of culture in 2025, and they basically wanted to bring on board new talent. And me being me, I was like, oh, that's just another way of performing, isn't it? Like being on camera, being on stage, hosting, presenting, whatever. So I applied, I interviewed. It was amazing. Got it. Been doing that. The thing is, as amazing as the last year has been, and I have been in yes mode, I've been like seize every opportunity, do all the things. I was, presenting on Look North and was on Bargain Hunt and Blankety Blank, and I was creating a lot of those opportunities for myself as well, like outside of my work with the BBC. Like I was, you know, in go mode. I was like, I always believed in myself, but I never foresaw my career going to this kind of level anyway. And so, yeah, I was like, seize every opportunity, but that unfortunately has come with a lot of financial hardship. And I got to the point where, because a lot of it, like, I don't think a lot of people realize, they see me doing stuff and they think I'm living the high life and the celeb life. I'm like, I'm broke all the time. A lot of it is either like not paid or poorly paid. But in terms of media world, like, I am a novice. So as much as I'm an experienced performer, in media world, I'm a novice. So I need to take all the opportunities I can while I can. So I did that regardless of the pay, and just knowing that it'll pay off down the line. Like, you reap what you sow. If I sow lots of hard work and whatnot, it'll be fine. But it means that, especially towards the back end of the year, I was getting to a point where I was struggling to pay my bills. And I actually missed some bills a few times. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't hate my job at JD, but I just think that in the beginning, I would say that if you go from being on a stage and presenting with Dr. Amir Khan in St. George's Hall in front of hundreds, maybe even 1,000 members of the press and the arts community, being on the One Show, going for drinks afterwards, and then going back to JD gyms the next morning to get down on your hands and knees and clean treadmills. In comparison, like, you're never gonna love your day job, you know? And it was hard. It was definitely hard to kind of like deal with the highs and lows. And then also to be working myself that hard. I would go like 3 weeks at a time without having a day off. And I would do early shifts at JD and start at like 5 a.m. and then finish at 2 p.m. so that I could have the rest of my day and go off and film something or whatever it was. That's how I would manage it. But it got to a point where I was like, A, I cannot work at this pace forever. B, I feel like I've got a chance to actually, I don't know, kind of make it. And C, I was just starting to not love the job. Like, people really don't understand what we deal with at JD, the kind of people that we deal with, all for like minimum wage. I think it's, well, minimum wage is the same as national living wage, isn't it? So as a technical, no, I lie. I think it's like, I think we get paid like 10p more or something like that. And it's one of those sneaky ways where an employer can be like, we pay above national living wage. It's like 10p more. But to be struggling to pay my bills when I was doing those hours, I was exhausted. I'm a bad sleeper anyway. And you get people like threatening you. Everybody's overworked and underpaid. So if someone goes off sick, like, we had a cleaner off sick, and so we just had to deal with it. And I'd have to go in and like unblock a toilet, and I'm like, I'm overqualified for this. I'm exhausted. I'm struggling through life. Why am I doing this? Now, don't get me wrong, there were some great things about working there as well, but it was just becoming very clear to me that like this wasn't my forever, and it's now or never. Like, in terms of career and building on the momentum, like, I wanted to leave, but I didn't want to leave for just anything. I'll be honest, I got to the end of the year and I kind of hoped that something would happen with the BBC, and it just didn't. So then it was a case of, okay, I need to look at my options because I can't keep living like this. And so I'm looking, but as a creative, like, going from having so much like professional flexibility and like I'm mostly freelance, so I manage my schedule, my time, like so much independence. The thought of going from working for myself to working for anyone else, like, at all, is tricky. Like, but I need some financial stability. And like most creatives will agree, like, it always feels like a compromise. Like, you can either have a creative career, but have no financial stability and have no kind of like guarantee, like job guarantee, job security or whatever. Or you can have a salaried job, but you often can't have both. Yeah, as a performer, this is me thinking as a singer, dancer, musical theatre performer, like just freelancer, you know? So I'm looking, but I'm not really seeing much and everything feels like a compromise, you know? So got to Christmas, told my brother, you know, I'm going to give myself till end of Jan. If I don't hear anything from the BBC, then basically I'm going to give myself like 3 to 4 months and I need to be out of JD because I can't, I'm just not happy, you know? So, yeah. So, my friends actively know, I think being an anxious gal, one of the things that I've worked on with my anxiety from like, and this is mainly from therapy years ago, like I think I'm good at letting my friends know when I'm not doing great. And so my close friends like have known for a while that I've been struggling. They knew every time I missed a bill, they knew they would lend me a tenner here and there. They always trusted me. I'm so thankful for them. But with that being said, they all knew that I was looking and struggling. And they've also kind of seen how much I've worked. And I love that, I guess in that sense, they've just had a lot of faith in me. And they've always kind of been like, keep going. Like, you're going to get there. You're going to do this. It's going to pay off. Like, we believe in you, which is why we support you, kind of thing. And so the other week, I'm at home and... No, I'm not at home, I was at my brother's. And a couple of people sent me, like within 24 hours maybe, bear in mind I've been praying for months, begging God, like I need financial freedom, I need financial security, I want to be debt free, I want to be independent, I want to be able to like go on a holiday. I want to just be able to go and treat myself to a coffee and not have to check my bank balance beforehand. Like, that would be great. So I've been praying, and then in the space of like maybe 24 to 48 hours, 2 different friends, completely unrelated, who do not know each other, sent me a TikTok. And I will try and like place a snippet of it like somewhere here, but it was a TikTok of a guy basically like laughing at the fact that he's seen this job advert for Next, the big retailer in the UK, and they are recruiting for an internal radio presenter for their like distribution centres. And a couple of friends sent me it and they were like, oh my God, you should apply for this. And I didn't really think anything of the first one. I thought, oh, maybe. But when I got the second one, I was like, okay, I'll have a look. I got home, because I'd been at my brother's that weekend. I got home at like 8 p.m. and it was a Sunday night. And the bath was running because I was getting ready. I had work. I was on the early shift the next morning. And so I Googled while the bath was running. And I saw the deadline was today, like that day. I was like, oh, okay. I guess if I'm going to apply, I need to apply now. Like for context, it's a 12-month contract. It's only temporary, but the salary was amazing and it was fixed hours and it was still radio presenting. And I was like, I'll just go for it. Like I'm applying for stuff or looking for auditions, putting myself forward for stuff all the time. So it was just, to me, I just saw it as, oh, well, I'll put my name in the ring. And I think as a performer, your whole life is rejection. It's the one thing I love about being a performer. I think emotionally it's the best thing you can do, because as a young kid, like, you have to learn how to deal with rejection really young. And then growing up, you're just so accustomed to it, you don't take it personally, it's not a big deal. So anyway, I apply for stuff all the time. I don't get stuff all the time. So there is no part of me that was treating it like it was a big deal. I just applied and was really surprised to get an interview. So I applied, got an interview on the Wednesday. I think I got a call on like the Tuesday. So I applied on the Sunday, got a call on like the Tuesday or the Wednesday, booked a Teams interview for the following Wednesday. Now I had been ill. And I remember waking up 10 minutes before the interview, chucking clothes on, going on the Teams call, no, Google Meets, and then going back to bed. And I slept all day. I was not okay. How I managed that interview, I will never know. But I did it. I was just glad to get an interview. I was thankful to get an interview. And again, I wasn't thinking anything of it because I was like, do you know what? Radio is like one of those really weird things where I feel like you don't go to uni and study radio, do you? Like, the paths in are so like varied and whatnot. But as a result, people who are in the industry tend to be like, they just tend to be really experienced or really good at it. Everyone that I know in radio is really experienced and really good at it. So maybe I just think of it like that. So as a result, I was like, oh, I didn't really have like much confidence that I would get anywhere. But anyway, did the first interview and got a call to say I'd been successful at the first stage and they wanted me to go for stage 2. At this point, I'm like, oh, is this happening? Is this possible? This might be possible. And there are pros and cons, right? Like, on one hand, the work I've done for BBC Radio Leeds is both local and regional. I'm talking about going from that to going essentially to like a small community radio. So scale-wise, it's going to change. However, I'm not really hearing much from the BBC in terms of like long term, doing some cover stuff here and there, but that's really it. And I'm like, this is still progression though. It's a full-time job as a radio presenter. I'll be putting shows together. I'll be pre-recording stuff. I'll be editing stuff. I'll be doing the full job. And even if it's just a 12-month contract, like having that on my CV could be a massive step towards like, just a massive step forward in terms of media career. So I'm like, do you know what? I'm not really seeing any cons. I'm only seeing pros. And I'm finding myself really wanting this. So I'm talking to my brother and we're going through the details and what the job is. And obviously he's really excited for me because he knows how much I've struggled and I've relied on him like financially so much over the last year. And so we're looking at the job and even he's getting excited and we're looking at the travel and we're like, okay, well, if I get the job, I'm going to have to get a car because it's way too far by public transport. It's like 2.5 hours to 3 hours. So we're just researching, you know. But bear in mind that because I don't have the job yet, I don't have a car yet. I'm not going to get a car until I know I've got the job. So I'm like, for the interview, stage 2, final stage, that's in person, I will just do public transport. I'm just going to have to suck it up and do it. So I'll do it. So Monday, can't remember what the day is, but it was a Monday. I had the Google Meets interview on the Wednesday, had a call pretty quick to say that you're through, we want to get the ball rolling quite quickly, can you come in on Monday? I go in on the Monday. Now, first of all, I'm debating my travel method. I'm like, I could do 2 buses, I could do like a train and a bus, whatever. I plan it out and basically it was going to take me about 2 and a bit hours. But I was speaking to my brother and I was like, I'm a bit torn because basically there's one travel option via Google Maps that gets me there 10 minutes early. And there's one travel option that gets me there 40 minutes early. But there's no like in between. I can either be super early or like just make it. And he was just like, well, do the 40 minutes early because, you know, regardless of whether it's like it's in the sticks, it's out in the middle of nowhere, but the last thing you want is like, you're going somewhere for the first time, it's a complicated travel route, it's your first impression, like you don't want to be late. So I'm hearing it and I'm nodding and I agree with the logic, but if I'm honest, like, I'm still thinking in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, oh, I'm probably just gonna, you know, get the one that gets me there 10 minutes early. But then I was speaking to a friend and she said the exact same thing, and I was like, okay, wait, I don't believe in coincidence. If two different people who I trust and respect and admire, especially professionally, are telling me to do this way, if I don't listen and something goes wrong, I've only got myself to blame. So just do it. Just set off. So I set off. My interview was at 11 a.m. I set off at 7:45. And everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. And I still managed to get there 20 minutes early. And they were like, we've never had someone come by public transport and actually make it. And I was like, thanks, brother. So I make it there to the distribution centre, and it's where like the HR is and stuff. And I make it there with 20 minutes to spare. Bear in mind, like, it's been a difficult journey. Like, the first train was late. Then instead of 2 trains, as a result, I had to split it up into 3 different trains, and then I had to get a bus, but the bus was delayed, so then I had to get an Uber, and then I got to the place, and then it turns out, oh, you're actually at the one down the road, but it's like a 2-minute drive, but a 25-minute walk, so I got on another Uber. I get there anyway with 20 minutes to spare, thank God. They're very happy and impressed that I've made it at all. And yeah, I go in and it was lovely. It was a really nice office. Like, think aesthetic. It was a very aesthetic office, like with lots of greenery and whatnot. And I met the team. I met everyone who worked in there, which was lovely. I met the lady who's doing the role now. And then I had to do a couple of tasks. I had to like do a couple of recordings of like a scripted bit, an improv bit, and I had to do a mock interview. But bear in mind, like, I've been doing all this stuff for City of Culture all for the last 1.5 years, so none of this is new or out of the ordinary. I've been doing it week in, week out forever, so to me it was fine, you know. And then there was a bit of a chat, and they were like point blank, like, we wouldn't offer it if you don't have a car, like, just because of where they're located. It's not the kind of thing where you can do public transport. Like, they were outright like, we've turned people down before because they didn't have their own transport. And I was like, I'm not doing this journey again via public transport, don't you worry. So anyway, it went well. They were really nice. Liked everyone that I met. Liked the environment, the office, saw the parking and whatnot. Headed back home and then waited anxiously. And actually, I really liked how they did the decision-making process. So basically, they did like a blind test. They got a couple of people and they played the recordings of each candidate to the people and chose that way. Obviously, like, the interviewer had some input, but yeah, I even walked away thinking, do you know what, with that being said, even if I don't get it, at least, like, it's purely based on merit, performance. You can either do the job or you not. Like, I could walk away with my head held high and say that I did everything that I possibly could. And that's how I felt about the interview as well. I very much kind of felt like I didn't look back and wish I'd have said this or wish I'd have done that or whatever. I felt like, do you know what? I did the best that I could with everything that I could, and I felt super comfortable and whatnot. And so now, whatever happens, happens, you know? So I had to wait 2 days. I go home. My brother's sending me pictures of cars. I'm getting really excited, but I'm also like, stay calm. And basically, so that was on the Monday. They tried to call me so they said, we'll let you know Wednesday evening, maybe Thursday. So I was like, it's going to be Thursday, just expect Thursday, that way you're not disappointed. But as a result, they tried to call me on Wednesday and I missed the call, so I was gutted. So I had to wait for the Thursday. And anyway, they called They were like, you smashed it out of the park. We'd like to offer you the role. And I was so happy. Obviously, like, this is just going to change my life. Like, having a regular income, a steady income, being able to cover all my bills, being able to even afford a car. Like, this is literally going to change my life. And this is like not something that I feel performers get until you're at a fairly high level anyway. Like, as a performer, like, you're constantly just looking for the next gig, whatever. And it's so hard. And so to find a job that feels like a step in the right direction for my career long term, that feels creative, that doesn't feel like a compromise on my values and what I want for myself, it's just, I can't tell you like how much I feel like this is everything I've been praying for. I really do. And yeah, so literally the morning after, I handed my notice in, and obviously JD is sad, but I don't think anyone's surprised as such because of the trajectory I've been on. And so it's more so a case of like, you know, I'm staying for a couple of weeks. My notice period isn't very long there. I'm going to help out as much as I can with their recruitment to replace me and whatnot. So yeah. And I'm going to stay on their books as like class cover because I'll have my evenings back so I can go back to my first love, my original love, which was just Zumba instructing and not, you know, anything else. So yeah. So what it's going to look like is I'm going to be working 5 days a week as a full-time radio presenter for Next. I will still be doing my Monday evening class at Pinnacle, and I'll still do extra projects with them as and when I can. I will be staying on at JD as for class cover, so if anything ever comes up and I'm available, I will happily cover. And I will still be like event hosting and whatnot, albeit like my availability is obviously going to be a little bit more limited. So people are just going to have to actually be organised and give me notice, or I'm not going to be able to do it, am I? Which is a big ask. But yeah, that's where we're at. And I am actually I had already started working on a bunch of like independent projects. Like I'm recording music again. I want to release music. I'm working on a documentary about my passport journey and stuff like that. Like my life is still creative and all that stuff is still going to happen. It's just that my JD job, I can't find what I wanted. My JD job is essentially being replaced by this, and I'm just going to be a bit more financially secure. I cannot wait. I'm so happy, I'm so thankful, I'm all the above. And now I just can't wait to get started. I've got 3 weeks to sort a car and pull that money out of my backside to afford the car. Because it's one of those, it's catch-22. Like, I can only afford the car because of the job, but I need the car to start the job. Yeah, so that's fun. But anyway, I'm going to quickly finish my face and then I'm going to come back. The weave is in, the weave is secure. We're not doing anything fancy today, we're just going plain Jane. I woke up like this. But anyway, yeah, so there's the story. There's all the details. I think for me, context is everything, and I think it's taken a lot for me to like make this decision and make this step, and I think that's why I really wanted to share just my mindset, my thought, where my heart's at, what my intentions are. For me, this is like the next step. And with that being said, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited. At the time of filming this, I have 3 weeks left before I leave. And yeah, I will report back on the whole journey. But until then, thank you so much if you made it this far. There's a lot that goes into decisions like this when you're a creative and you're a big dreamer, but you've also got to live in a world where, you know, I'm a single woman who pays all my own bills, and I need to survive. But yeah, I think this is a step in the right direction. And so at least for the next 12 months, this is what I'll be doing. Have a breather, gain some stability, and then we'll see. We will see what happens. Ciao for now.